Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk. You know, there's a lot of bad sentiment towards guys who have been in prison. And if shit hit the fan, people are kind of annoyed to want to know what would happen to a lot of the guys getting out. And do they have a propensity for violence? Well, I feel that a lot of it's overblown. You know, you have a lot of people who have gotten in trouble, who have made mistakes. Yeah, maybe they sold drugs. Yeah, maybe they caught a DUI, or they caught a bullshit assault case, or maybe they committed a robbery, but you don't know the circumstances surrounding their charges. So you would have to really look into the background of an individual to see what kind of person he is. You have a lot of people in prison who are good people. They just made bad choices. And you could have the guy maybe who had an assault because maybe he was defending his sister who got beat up by her boyfriend. Or it could have been a situation where it was self-defense. So you have a lot of situations that until you look at the particulars of the case, you don't really know why the person committed that act. You know, a person selling drugs, you know, they're trying to feed their family. People say, well, you know, go get a job. Well, sometimes it's not all that easy. You know, and even if it is that easy, you know, people hustle. You know, people make things happen, and they do what they got to do to put food on the table. And I'm not trying to justify a drug dealer or justify a person that, you know, whoops that ass, but, you know, shit happens. And when you look at society as a whole, and people who are free, who are maybe not gotten caught for certain things, whether it be through military force, or whether it be through pharmaceutical companies that are selling drugs over the counter that are causing addictions. It's all based on rational. And so when you go back to, like I say, judging a person, be careful how you judge, because there's a lot of things that you assume that are legal because they haven't been ruled illegal, but that are far more illegal than what's so-called being considered legal. And you know, not to get off topic, but going back to, like I say, judging individuals, you know, a lot of guys are in there and they are reforming themselves. They are rehabilitating themselves because the system itself doesn't have any form of rehabilitation. You know, the system itself is there to punish. You have a lot of guards that basically got those jobs so that they could exercise some type of authority over an individual for whatever reason or whatever hang-ups they got. And then you have guards who are there just because they want to get a paycheck and they needed a job. Maybe they're fresh out the military and they're trying to just make a transition, or maybe they're trying to transition from a guard to an actual police officer. But it's just a lot of negative shit going on in there. So, you know, people have to try harder to do better for themselves than average. But it shouldn't be judged across the board that everybody in prison is a bad dude. You know, a lot of people, you know, they carry themselves in a humane fashion. You know, they're not bad guys. And like I said, it's just choices, you know. And then you have the guys in there who don't really give a fuck. You know, the guys in there who are, you know, drug addicts on the DL. They're, you know, gang members. They're pushing a lot of nonsense, a lot of ignorant ass racism. And those are the people who really don't have any desire to become rehabilitated. You know, when they get out, they push an agenda on the street, and that agenda is negative, and it's not benefiting society. You know, if those same guys who have all that influence got out and actually pushed a positive agenda, we could change a lot of the violence, a lot of the gang shit, a lot of the bullshit. And if shit did hit the fan, these guys can make a big difference. You know, I remember guys used to talk about on the yard that if there was a war and they wanted inmates to get out and go fight for their country, would they do it? And a lot of guys said they would. They said they would, rather than serve a life sentence, they would rather go take up arms and fight for their freedom. So you do have that sentiment that, you know, deep down, a lot of these guys, if they had the opportunity, would try to do the right thing. But then you have, like I said, guys in there who don't even entertain a thought of doing something honest on the street or actually helping others. And those are the ones that, you know, you got to watch out for. And those are the ones, if shit hit the fan, you don't want to have to peel their wig, you know, split their cap, you know what I mean? And it's just a sentiment of the individual. You know, each individual is different. You know, some guys, you know, they have a better soul, and then some guys are just a dark spirit, man. And I've seen them when I've been to USP Lompoc. I've seen them when I've been to Sheridan. I've seen them when I've been to Herlong Medium, you know. And then I've seen guys who are really good guys that just need an opportunity. And those are the ones that, you know, you gotta look towards as far as who could help out and be mentors to people on the street and inspire others to do right. Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.
Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.